But when he was president of the United States, is the most powerful man in the free world. Do you think he would tell Michelle, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to text you. I'm the president. I didn't have time to get back to you. Sorry, baby, you have to go figure out what you want to do with the family because I'm the president. I guarantee you it never came up. Why? Because as much as he's the president, his wife, his love life is his priority. We can, especially now with technology, we can text, we can send a voice note, we can do a video. There's so many ways to stay connected with somebody you care about, someone you're dating, someone you're in a relationship with. So when someone says, I'm too busy, it's just an excuse. They're saying, you're not enough of a priority for me to adjust my day to communicate with you. I want to say it that clearly, not to upset you, not to depress you, but to prepare you. So when you get that, you then can say, okay, this person may not be my person because they're communicating that I'm not their priority. And don't be emotional about it. Say, okay, I'm not your priority. I'm glad to know that. But what I know is anyone that really cares and that does not want to lose you, they're going to prioritize you. Period. End of story.
You want to take this first?
Shut the fuck up. Is it Devin or Devon?
I don't know. Mr. Not So Good.
Right, Mr. Not So Good. Yeah. I think that when I hear that, and maybe in the context of he's talking about people that were married, maybe that could be the only thing I could think of. Because the first time I heard that clip, I basically said to myself, bro, who the hell crowned you the speaker of men? Or in relationships in general? Who died and put you in charge? Because that's just like the most falsified shit ever. Maybe for you, when you don't text somebody back, that's your explanation of I don't really care about it. Maybe. Speak for yourself. I don't put any merit into anything that he just said. And then on top of that, I mean, let's keep it 100 too. Let's even go back to his Obama spiel about it. I'm sure that nigga was busy at one point and didn't text her back.
Nah, it didn't happen because she knew not to fucking text him because he's leading the fucking free world.
That too, And so I don't know, man. It just when I heard it, it lit a fire under me, and I know that you were getting ready to just do an emergency pod to go ahead and get that out at the time. And I've even since cooled down a little bit because when I first saw it, I just was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Gosh, and I know that we probably should have kept it a little curse word free, right?
Fuck it. No. Fuck that. Because we got this simp ass shit on here. And the problem is, right, I put it on my story all the time. I hope that post gets you what you want. What I'm really saying is, I hope that post gets you some pussy from some hurt woman who is dumb and falls for the fucking trap.
Yep.
And there's so many levels to this thing, right? You're not a priority if I'm busy right now. If I'm busy and I don't communicate with you. You know what? At this moment, you're not a fucking priority. You're not. When I'm at work, my wife texts me, I get to it when I get to it. You know why? I'm at work. She's not my priority while I'm at work. Work is my priority when I'm at work. We're going to a bachelor party this weekend. Will I talk to my wife while we're there? Yes. Will I FaceTime her because I have a young daughter? More than likely. But is she my priority while I'm at the bachelor party? No. I am there to enjoy my friends and celebrate another guy jumping the broom. And that's okay. Like these fake ass relationship gurus, these fake ass relationship doctors come up with this way of how you're supposed to manage your relationship. And I go, no, you do what works for you. Like some men have a harem and all of them know each other. Some men have to sneak and cheat. Some men, one woman all the time, straight and narrow. Some people are single. Some people are open. There is no guide to having a healthy relationship. So anytime somebody's trying to sell you on how to have a healthy relationship and they're fucking divorced.
And we're apparently living, by the Bible type relationship. That's the way, at least, that it was always made out to be prior to their the dating phase and the marriage phase with his specific marriage.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's just any merit that could come from that, because at the end of the day, what do you mean if I don't text you back basically you're almost saying if I don't text you back immediately that you're not a priority. And that just sounds like a hurt person. Like, to me, it sounds like somebody that's hurt, because on both ends of the spectrum, if there's a woman that feels that way, that, hey, he might be fucking doing something, right? Or maybe he doesn't have the time to even put in the energy. Like, what do you want me to do? Just text you all day? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean? Because at that point, that's the card that we're pulling, that you can just do this at any time. And it's not okay. That's not okay to do. Like,
controlling narcissist, right? And a lot of times I see these, especially these relationship guys who are giving all these gems. And
is that what he is now? I don't even know what he was.
I think he was a preacher, right? But when you listen, so many of these things I listen to, I go, you're speaking from a place of hurt, a place of trauma, a place of insecurity, place of narcissism, control. Like, hey, if you're busy, I assume that when you don't text me back, you are doing something that does not allow you to text me. And when people run to, oh, but they could be laid up with somebody. You know how easy it is to text somebody while you're laying in bed with someone else? God forbid that person you're laying with knows your entire situation, and you go, hold on, I gotta send this text, or hold on, I gotta take this call. Like,
right.
These little traps that the weak try to put in to stop cheating, they don't work.
And if anything, I think that you're more attentive in that type of situation in reality. Because of what it is that you're doing, you're going to be much more likely to be checking that and making sure that you're not leaving any type of droppings that would even lead in that direction. You might be like I said, you might be an even better texter in that type of situation on purpose, obviously. So,
but dog, it's the fucking hurt women and the suck ass men who create so many different narratives that don't even mesh up with like how it actually works when you're talking to guys who may or may not live that life or have lived that life. It's like, is there something I'm missing? No. Well, why is that bartender looking at you like that? I don't know. She thinks I'm cute. I'm a regular here. Anything more? No. Do you think I would voluntarily bring you to a place where I am banging the bartender? You didn't ask to come here. I said, let's go here.
More importantly, she could be just looking because I'm always in here by myself, and she's just surprised to see that there's a guest with me to begin with.
Well, why would she?
We don't get into what our lives entail. All I know is that she makes a mean, Long Island iced tea, a strong island iced tea. That's the extent of, and I know her name. You know what I mean? She doesn't know anything about me. Doesn't know if I got kids. Doesn't know if I'm married. Doesn't know my best friend's name. Doesn't know my fucking favorite. Well, she might know my favorite team, but that's only because I'm coming in here to watch the game. So of course she knows who I'm always rooting for. And she knows my drink order. That's it.
You pour strong, I tip long. It works for both of us.
We can both be heavy-handed tonight.
Exactly. And for those of you who don't know this, if you're out there and you're trying to nail bartenders, she's winning all the time, okay? She has too much control. So slow down. 2, it's not worth it. The bar is full of women. But getting a bartender who will serve you when it's busy without having to talk to you, who will give you strong pours, who won't make you give her a card for a damn tab, and will come up with a random number that you have to pay at the end of the night consistently, is better than sex. I'm sorry. It is better than sex. A great bartender, better than sex.
Being plugged in. I mean, that's what it is, being plugged in, especially when you set it up to where these are different places that you're going, and If you do decide to bring people with you and they can get in on the fun with you too, like, hey, like even if it's, I guess it just depends on like the type of situation, but even like at Falcons games, right? For me, you guys come in,
Yep.
I done already paid this man. Because he gets what he's going to get anyways, gonna pour us up. Gonna make sure we okay.
You came to the bar, my bar out in PB in San Diego, right?
Yes.
With Miss Rachel. Like, hey, we show up. What are you guys drinking? It's the 32-ounce Coke glass, and it's a single.
Right. And
I'm not getting charged till round 3.
Well, exactly. And so that's another part. But before we even get too far off from from Devon or whatever that nigga's name is, people need to start thinking before they speak. And I think that in his situation, he's on a podcast. I think he knew that it was going to make his rounds to Spiritual Word and stuff like that, especially considering there's so many hurt people that get on these gossip type platforms and pages and stuff so that they can be validated by the way that they feel because somebody else said it and it got put online, and it's just one of those things where, well, I'm sorry, bro, if you're saying that you're never not busy enough to not answer, that's a you thing. I tell you what, good for you. Good for you, bud. But like, no, there are people out here that do have lives and actually do have things that they have to do, and they can't just be at the waking call of whether that be necessarily your wife, somebody you're talking to. It doesn't mean that you're not interested. It means that I've got something I need to handle and that this is on the back burner in comparison to that. Or who knows? Maybe I didn't even fucking see the message. These things happen too. It's not I looked at it and then put my phone down and went back to work. That could be it, but that isn't necessarily always it either. I might have not seen it. I might be that fucking busy, And I know that at one point during my dating phase, there were some people that were upset at me for something similar to that. And I looked at it this way. I think some people sometimes forget that I run a company, literally. I think that people forget that sometimes and that they think that maybe I'm like them sitting at work bored and I'm on my phone, 24/7 and I'm not really doing work or something like that. Or maybe I'm not fucking driving somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm not on a plane and then maybe I didn't get the Wi-Fi. Like, I think that people just don't take a second to think. They just kind of say, and then they wait for kind of what's going to react to that.
Yeah, man. Or maybe some people's partner is a higher priority in their life than others, right?
But that doesn't even necessarily mean that either.
I'm just saying a general thing, right? Like,
yeah,
some people would choose love over financial stability. I won't. Like, I'm not gonna be broke. Sorry.
Ain't nobody gonna be happy. Oh yeah, girl, I love you, but fuck, we got to get out of here. We're getting evicted. Baby, we don't have enough for that Infamil. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dog,
yeah, but I love you though. Like, I fucking love you. We can love each other fucking out here at begging for money, all because boss caught me on my phone texting you because you wanted to say what am I doing or whatever, and I'm at fucking work and you know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, like I'm at work.
You know that it's a Monday through Friday and it's the middle of the day and that 9 times out of 10 I'm not on lunch break. So it's like, what do you mean? What is it that you have to text me that's so important? That more importantly, that it's a text and not even a phone call. Let's start there.
And that's the thing, right? The difference between text and phone call. If my wife calls me while I'm at work, if I have a missed call from my wife while I'm at work, oh, that's important. Let me see what's going on. If I could be sitting at my desk, see my wife's name pop up, look at it, not even open it. Oh, okay, whatever. Get back to doing what I'm doing, right? Because I might be on a timeline.
Yeah.
And if I'm on a time crunch or if I'm sitting in a meeting, whatever's in here that's not a phone call ain't that important. It's not. Because you'd call. Or you text and call.
Or depending on what the situation is, if it's something to where you're not under duress, you might even pop up here because it's so important.
Exactly.
Because you know where I'm at.
Exactly.
So,
but you know what, man? An interesting thing about Devin, whatever his name is, Mr. Not So Good. He was raised by 7 women. And I think it's really important to look at people's backgrounds and their upbringings to see how it creates the human that they are, right? Like I was raised by my mom, had strong male figures in my life, but not in the house, you know. And he also raised single parent. We were having a conversation about there are lessons in manhood that we had to learn as grown men that a lot of our friends learned as boys just because their dad was there. And there are traits that we carry because we were taught to be a man by a woman that are less masculine than we would like for them to be. But at the end of the day, it is what it is because ain't nobody doing a full sale like change of their personality. Now it's like, hey, bro, I am who I am, right? But when you're a man raised by women, sometimes you see things differently, and sometimes that feminine perspective is better. Other times it turns into some simp ass shit like this. Like, I remember my mama not, waiting on that man, and he didn't call back for 3 days, and come to find out he done moved across town with his other old lady. I don't want to be that man. I don't ever want to put a woman through that. All right, then. Tell her when you go to the fucking bathroom and take a piss then, nigga. Hey, yo, my balls itch right now. I'm about to scratch him. Hey, well, real quick, Parlay PS, we get out of this, right? I don't want to stay with this one too long, but I found it super interesting because I think it sits around where we're at with this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And the tweet was really it was interesting, and I'm going to see which way you want to go with it, but I think it was
Barack Obama, when he was president of the United States,
no, not you.
is the most
No,
about that.
not you. Men will literally choose a shy, feminine woman with 0 achievements over an arrogant career woman. We don't care if you have even won a Nobel Prize. And I found it to be so interesting because a dude posted it. But when I first read it, I didn't pay attention to the page that it came from. I read it as if a woman was complaining about it and trying to speak to men's fear of dealing with an independent, accomplished woman.
Right.
And it's such an interesting conversation because myself, friends I've talked to, most of us aren't impressed by women's professional accolades. Not to say that they aren't good, but it's not part of the calculus of what we want. Yes, it's great if you provide more income to this family. Yeah, fucking right, I'll take it. We'll do great things. But you being the valedictorian and Phi Beta Gamma, whatever, Phi Beta, whatever that thing is, honor graduate.
Yeah. Summa cum laude.
Yeah, like that's not what gets my blood.
Magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, like that doesn't get my blood rushing. It's great. And I think that women who try to define themselves based off their accomplishments are missing the boat on what a man is looking for in a woman. Unless you're getting you like a bum ass hood nigga who's gonna drive your car while you at work.
Which is typically what those chicks end up with anyways, normally. Or either that or they do literally find, like, if they are a lawyer, they find a doctor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, those do this too, but like,
they're unhappy.
There's really no in between when it comes to those, though. Normally, at least based on the examples and stuff that I've seen throughout my life, it's always a super accomplished chick, either with an ain't shit type dude or with a dude that literally is her equal. Yeah, it's her equal. There are, and then this is the in between. They're a single woman. Like, you know what I mean? But they're like 35. That's the in between. No kids, no divorce. Yeah, no nothing. Ain't posted a nigga since Instagram started. Yeah. Dog, it's saddening sometimes to see it though, because
they become so obsessed with what they've accomplished. And it's like, hey man, all he wants is a back rub and a little head.
It becomes it assumes their identity because they feel as if, well, that's all I've worked for my entire life. So it's kind of like, this is my image. Like, this is it. There is no, well, outside of this, I like to do this. Because there is no, I like to do this.
You know how many Spelmanites I've asked? Like, they talk about, like, I don't really know what to do with myself now. And I go, well, what are your hobbies? I don't know. What do you mean? What, you don't know your hobbies? Like, how do you not know your hobbies? Like, what do you do when you have spare time? Nothing. I like maybe watch some Netflix. I'm like, you don't have like a favorite restaurant, a favorite bar, friends?
Do you like sports at all?
Sports?
Like in any type of capacity, whether you think Rick Fox is fine or something, like you don't have like something that you
do you play cards? Do you have a passion project? Like,
do you like to do an art and sip type thing? I mean,
nah, just the rose. That's it. I don't know, man. I go back to that Ebony K. Williams conversation that we had a few weeks ago. And the lady that she was talking to, whose name I don't remember, I apologize. But she just talked about women trying to capture too much masculine energy and be men to men. And it's like, I don't want to fuck dudes. So you acting like a dude and like using this testosterone that you're generating to say, I'm the best. That doesn't do it for me. I don't want you to want to be better than me.
right.
And not because of me or my fragile ego. I do those conversations with my friends where we compete and we get upset because you're going to come here with like a level of fucking estrogen that you carry because you're a woman and you provide balance to men that I don't want that in competitive environments. But when I come to you, I want the estrogen. I want the, why do you care so much about winning your fantasy league? It's not that serious.
Right.
No, it fucking is. I don't want to lose to gambles. Like you get beat by Julian Turner. Sunday's ruined.
Well, you can just mail it in for the rest of the season. That means your team's not ready to compete for a championship anyways.
Imagine back-to-back week. Imagine a 3-week stretch. Sorry, Wayne, getting beat by Eric Boyd, Julian Turner, and Wayne.
And then the Falcons go, if you're, well, depending on who your team is, but in our case, the Falcons, then the Falcons go 1-2 in that stretch. And like, they're just like losing like games that they should have won type shit to go along with the insult to injury in fantasy. All because a guy like Jamal Williams had 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. Or better yet, an actual real example, a guy like Taysom Hill just randomly gets like 5 touchdowns in a game. And that's why you lost. Like, you lost because that guy showed up and he decided to start him that week for whatever reason.
Or like that time I beat you because Lockett went crazy. Like, I expected 9 points. Nigga goes off for like 35. And you're like, I got my ass kicked today.
Yeah.
But this one man put the team on his back.
We put the right. Everybody else was single digits, but this guy got 35, and then I got 0 out of somebody. My defense gave me -2, and then I got 0 from somebody like if I didn't have him. Well, I did at the end of the year, but like a guy like Kyle Pitts just gives you a donut hole out of nowhere, and he had like the easiest tight end matchup of the week.
And it's one of those weeks when you go in, like you're confident, but you have certain weeks. Who cares what ESPN says? You go, I'm probably going to lose this week. Yeah, I'm going to throw something out there. I'm going to grab a guy off the waiver wire who's probably not going to work. Not even the Wednesday waiver wire. I'm talking about the Friday, the Saturday waiver wire. Like,
right.
We're drunk and I'm at your house and like, hold on, let me see if this is going to work this week. It's like, I'm mailing it in.
Right.
And then that random backup tight end. Like, I remember Julius Thomas or no. the tight end for the Commanders who played at
Logan
VTech.
Thomas.
Logan Thomas.
He was the quarterback at VTech.
Yeah, I picked him up one random week and he had like 2 red zone tubs. And it's like, you won. You won this week.
Right.
Because Kittle is on bye. You were the tight end there, and you got 2 red zone looks.
Right. And you practically did just as much, if not more, than what Kittle would have done anyways.
2 catches, 6 yards, 2 tubs.
Yeah.
All right, man. Where do you want to go next?
Well, we might as well move on to the game tonight. Big game 3, shocking game 2 loss by Denver.
How shocking was it?
It was shocking, I think, because they were up 15 in the second half. And they were at home where they were 34-7 this year and undefeated in the playoffs. So it was a little shocking that they blew that lead. Is it shocking necessarily that they lost? No, because Miami's been road warriors the entire playoffs. And like I said, they have this culture and this, they have a way of the Heat way. They have a way of doing things. And they're not a team that mails it in. Like if the Grizzlies were down 20, they'd mail it in because that's just like, they mail it in. Like the Heat are the type of team that does not, they just don't mail it in. The Heat could have still lost by 20 and they didn't mail it in.
You think Memphis would mail it in or shoot it out?
At this point, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Because then Dylan Brooks is taking shots. Ja is shooting from deep. It's the same thing.
You know what, though? I was watching game 1 with the wife, right? And I was telling her, even though Miami, they got it to like 9 or whatever, I'm like, this game is closer than it looks. She's like, they're down by 17. I go, I know, but they are. Jimmy's playing terribly. They're
Strus and Gabe Vincent have combined for 3 points.
Yeah, and it's like there's some spots here where you can see where they're actually playing decent defense. Like they're just not making shots. Like they can get hot. And yes, Austin, we're early today because we have responsibilities and whatnot. But we had a comment. But yeah, so I didn't expect Miami to win the way that they did in game 2, but I was not shocked that they won that way. When I saw them come out gangbusters, I go, okay, we know Denver's going to make a run, but I didn't expect Denver to make the run to go up. I expected Denver to make the run and then Miami to have that 5 to 10 point lead throughout the game. It gets to 3-1. Then it gets back up to 5, down. I expected Miami to lead throughout the game. Instead, they won the first 8 minutes and the last 8 minutes.
They outscored them by 26, 27 points within that span. Because they were right. Denver was down 21-10 at one point in that game, and then somehow was up 15. So they outscored them by 26 within that run between the end of the first and towards the end of the second.
And I'll tell you one thing that really stuck out to me was Draymond and Steve Kerr talking about the game. And when Steve Kerr said that superstar Jamal Murray is the head of the snake. And it got pushed back and all of this and media people trying to say, well, I think what Steve Kerr meant was, no. Steve Kerr said exactly what he meant because, for one, he was a media guy before he was a coach. So he knows how to talk live on mic. He plays against his team, scouted his team, beat the hell out of them last year in the playoffs. Top 3 coach in the league right now?
Kerr?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Steve Kerr knows what the hell he's talking about when he says, no, Jamal Murray is the head of the snake. Jokic can go crazy. We can still beat them. We expect Jokic to get great numbers every night. Jamal Murray ain't that. He's inconsistent. When Jamal Murray gets great numbers, you cannot beat them. That's why he's the head of the snake. If we cut off Jamal Murray, we win.
That, and then one of the key things too, typically when your number 2 guy isn't doing his job, the expectation is that either there's a bench player that really steps up or your third best player is going to step up. And in this case, Michael Porter had 5 points, man. And that's just not going to get it done. When your third best player, and because Jamal Murray somewhat showed up in the fourth quarter, which is how they got it to where they had a chance to at least tie the game before it ended. But Michael Porter was non-existent the entire game. I don't remember seeing him make any shots. I know he had 5 points, but I don't even remember watching him make a shot.
Well, his head coach called him out in the post-game presser. He's like, we can't be pouting around when we're not making shots. It's like, oh, we know who you're talking about, buddy. How do you feel about Mike Malone? How do you feel about Mike Malone, period? Mike Malone has become a fucking he's working in media when he's done coaching. Like, he's a soundbite artist.
I like him personally. I mean, you know what's crazy? A lot of people, for that brief time that he was even in Sacramento, I didn't think he was a bad coach. He kind of just got he got chopped because that's just what happens in Sacramento. Guys get chopped when they go there. And he was only there for 2 years. It wasn't but he was there towards the end of the Boogie Cousins kind of thing. And they were just in a weird spot. They weren't going to be competitive, but he also had a player like Boogie. Like, think of that's who he had to deal with too, to a degree. Like, that's what you had to deal with. And that's a dude that had a very big temper, but obviously was supremely talented. And so I think that he got the best type of restart that he could get in Denver because they were patient with him. 1, 2, he did a pretty good job. Obviously Jokic was still a late second round pick. He's got to be a part of the development of him as a player. And I'm not saying that Jokic didn't always have it in him, and maybe he just was overlooked, but he's done a really good job of developing them and having them play a brand of basketball that doesn't get the praise maybe that it should, if that makes any sense. Because when people look at the Warriors brand of basketball, they're like, well, that's that brand of basketball. But Denver plays a really nice brand of basketball too.
Denver plays basketball that if you're a basketball player and you're not a star, you'd enjoy playing.
Yep. Because
KCP gets a lot of shots.
Bruce Brown gets a lot of shots.
I hate Bruce Brown. He might be my least favorite.
Is it because he got Lana Rhodes pregnant? Is that part of it?
No, I don't. I'm not a Lana Rhodes guy. I haven't. I'm not a Pornhub guy. I just go in my bedroom, buddy.
I'm with you. Look, I like the real thing too,
Nah, but on a serious note, is if you're a supporting player, you get the ball. Now, if you are because I gave some pushback to the way they played over the past few years because I thought that it was too Joker and Jamal Murray dependent. But now seeing the roster that they have, the roster was not properly configured for them to play through Joker and Jamal Murray in the same way that they're playing now, because it's one of those things where, all right, KCP can shoot 3, he can make the pull-up. Bruce Brown makes that fucking floater all the time. Jeez.
And threes. He'll make some threes too.
Threes. Michael Porter Jr., he can
do everything.
He can go for 3 or he can go for 30. You're going to get somewhere in between. And the style allows him to do either or. Because if Michael Porter's getting busy,
he can take it to the hole, bro. He can shoot mid-range and he can shoot 3. He can score at all 3 levels.
Yeah. No,
he's got the size too.
Michael Porter is the most talented player on that team.
He is. Well, talented. Yeah, because Jokic is obviously the most skilled.
Yes, most skilled. Yes,
yeah.
Michael Porter was the prospect, the number 1 guy. 6'10", handle, but he's got a bad back.
Right,
and he's entitled. So it is what it is. But I've enjoyed watching this series, man. It's basketball the way I learned how to play it. So maybe I'm just biased, but I'm not a ISO high pick and roll every single time down the floor guy. Like I actually like ball movement. I like people movement. I did my best scoring when we would run plays and I would get open. Oh shit. An open shot from the elbow.
Right.
At the three, pump fake, one dribble pull up. Oh, that's a great shot.
This is what the play designs. It designs to where if we run it through, somebody will eventually get in their space to where they will have that opportunity.
Like, yeah, I remember we used to run this one play, and the first time you ran it, most games, it worked. You pass, screen away, the backside wing runs all the way through. And a lot of times, that first time you run through, they think you're going to stop up top like most motion offenses, right? But you go all the way down, and then you get a bounce pass for a layup. And there's nothing like getting a layup in the offensive set, in the half court set at your first basket of the game. Shit, I got two. Okay, we're good now.
Yeah, because you're settled in, and you know it's going to be a good game typically too.
Yeah, not worse than missing your first 5 shots, man.
Well, that'll find you on the bench quickly, especially if it's not your team. Like if you're not considered the best player on the team, I guess. Like in my case, I wasn't. I was a starter, but like I wasn't considered the best player on the team. So I knew that if my ass was missing shots, especially if I was open and I was missing, I knew I was going to get benched real quick. Like,
but so what do you think in game 3? You asked me what I would bet today, and I said I would have took Miami on the points. I think Miami wins straight up, but I could see Denver pulling out like a 2-point win. Like I'm not.
And I'm with you. I expect this game being close. Probably the close. Even though this was the last game 2 was a 3-point game, it wasn't. It felt like at one point both teams were kind of just in control. I think this is going to be more of a nip and tuck type of game where it's a back and forth kind of. They've taken the lead. Maybe at one point the biggest lead will be maybe 7 points type thing, to where it's just like, and now they've got their largest lead of the game and they're up 7, and it'll be like, one of those type games, as opposed to, oh, it's a game of runs. They came out hot. They're cold. Now they're hot. Now they're cold. I don't think it'll be like that. I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth in this game, and that this could be ultimately maybe the closest game of the series, if that makes any sense, in a sense of this game is so important for both teams because Denver doesn't want to fall 1-2 knowing that they have to win game 4. They won't necessarily have to win game. They really will going to need to, though, to win game 4. And then vice versa, if you look at Miami and they go down 2-1, now game 4 turns into this is damn near an elimination game, because if we don't win this game, we sure as fuck aren't going back to Denver to bring it back to Miami for game 6, because they're not going to allow that. They're going to close out like they've done everybody else when they had a chance to. But I expect a close game. I expect it to be – I wouldn't be surprised at all if Miami covers that 3.5. But I'm going to lean Denver just because I think they're the better team. So I like to go with the better team. I know that there's momentum and stuff, but I also don't expect Caleb Martin to shoot he shot the fucking lights out in game 2. He did, because Jimmy, honestly, crazy enough, Jimmy did not even really have a crazy game. He scored a lot of his buckets in the fourth quarter too. He was on par of having the same game he had in game 2, and he probably closed out with like 23 points, but he scored like 10 of those points in the fourth quarter. So
I'm banking on Jimmy having a game.
For sure, because he hasn't really had one yet.
But I'm also banking on Jimmy having a very invasive, intrusive ankle surgery at the end of the playoffs.
I think the key to this game is going to be a couple of things on Denver's end, at least. Is Michael Porter going to show up? And can Jamal Murray get his stroke going early? Can he come out and, if he shoots 5 threes in the first half, can he go 3 of 5? Can he get hot enough in that first half to where, that he's in the game, as opposed to kind of checking out, or Jokic kind of having to be the one that kind of has to put the team on his back to carry it for a little bit? Are those two guys going to play well? If they play well, I don't see why they would lose. But
Based on Jamal Murray's career history, he's due to play badly again because the string of good games he put together in the Western Conference Finals, followed by a good game one, tells me, yeah, game two was more so I expected a step back, even though he had a great fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray is not a superstar, and I'll continue to say this. Not because of his talent and his ceiling. It's because of the consistency in which he plays at his floor. The best of the best, their floors are elevated, and you don't see the floor too often. You know what I mean? It's one of those houses where you walk in on the second story.
Yeah.
You know?
3 out of 4 of those games, they're always going to bring the goods. And then that one game when they don't bring the goods, if they're a 25-point-a-night guy, that bad game's an 18-point game.
No,
but they even made up for it in other ways in that bad game when they couldn't score the way they wanted to.
Or it's still a 25-point game, but it's like you're 9 for 28.
Yeah. Well, like kind of like what KD was doing against Denver.
Yeah. Hey, I got there.
I was about to say KD was getting to 30, and then you looked up and you're like, well, fuck, he took 30 shots. He took 30 shots and he missed a couple free throws here and there, which is a little weird. And so I expect that. And then even on the Miami front, even more so, like I said, Denver to me kind of dictates the series. Are they going to be able to defend the perimeter? Because that seemed like that was the biggest issue in game two. Obviously, them shooting 49% from three, tough break. I mean, but are they going to be able to defend the perimeter, or are they going to, let these guys get these shots, or where they over defend it so much to where Duncan Robinson gets to drive to the hole and get kind of a layup in or whatever? And then he's getting in people's faces. Like, is it going to be one of those type of things?
Duncan showed it a little bit in the Celtics series. He can actually put the ball on the floor and be a competent basketball player. Like, I think Duncan Robinson has better handles and playmaking skills than Jaylen Brown.
I think that's a little hot takey, but I'll let it go. I mean, continue. Have
you watched Jaylen Brown dribble the ball?
I have watched Jaylen Brown dribble the ball. I don't know about Duncan Robinson being a better playmaker than him, but I get your point. I think you're just going a little extreme with it, but I get what you're trying. I think you're just trying to take a shot at Jaylen Brown. I don't think you're really giving props to Duncan Robinson.
I'm a Jaylen Brown fan.
I know. We both want him here.
Because look, DeJounte would dribble the ball for you.
That, and then he can defend. He can defend. And so.
Come on home, man. Shit, Trey done scrubbed Atlanta from his. We're not there yet. I forgot to. Let me add that to the big board. We're still staying with the finals. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on Eric Spoelstra's comments to Ramona Shelburne after the game? Now, full disclosure, I'm not a Ramona Shelburne fan. She wrote the article about what's the Clippers owner's name?
Steve Ballmer.
No, old owner.
Donald Sterling.
Donald Sterling. She wrote the article about Donald Sterling's wife after the whole thing and how it painted her out to be a victim of her greedy husband. I'm like, no, she made out with money in this, and she look here. If she didn't know that her husband was a disgusting racist, like from what he told her in the bedroom, she could see his business practices, and that would tell you the same fucking thing. Okay, like get out of here, right? But because that article painted her like as a victim of him, I've been done with Ramona ever since. I'm like, hey, she's not a victim. You should not write that article in that way. She's the slave master. She's the slave master's wife who gets pounded out by Jebo, and then when Jebo gets caught, Jebo gets killed. You know what I mean? And she goes, "He raped me." No, he didn't. No. Same thing. You're not a victim here, Miss Billionaire who made billions of dollars in the selling of the team. You know. But anyways, how did you feel about the way that Spo addressed her question of making making a Joker score instead of making him a passer?
Being a facilitator.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Spo's a professional. We know this. You could argue that Spo's really been one of the, I think he's getting his credit, but like at the same time, a lot of what he accomplished before with his titles and stuff, we give LeBron James a lot of credit for that. You know what I mean? He gets a lot of credit, the vets and everything. I think it was just on par with the Heat way. You know, I don't think that he was out of line or anything. I think that he kept it real with her.
Hey, he's too good for that.
You know, yeah, and that it was just one of those things where she's a reporter that works for ESPN.
She's a reporter.
And I'm sure too. Speaking of after the game, did you see the Bam Adebayo video?
Oh, I told you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was talking to somebody.
Bro, I saw it live like after the post-game interview.
Justice said that he had seen it live too, and I was like, I did not see it live. I didn't, or at least I wasn't paying attention to seeing that. But yeah, obviously they caught it on TV, so it was like, what was that all about? You know, they made it seem like the dude was like following him or something, basically, and I guess that he had told him like to stop doing that or something. I don't know.
Look here, man. I support what Eric Spoelstra did. I really loved listening to the media defend Ramona Shelburne and say how Spoelstra was probably, it's probably gamesmanship and what Spoelstra was saying. It's one of those things, Parlay Pete, where I love that when the expert calls out the analyst and explains to them why they're wrong or they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then the whole media community rallies behind the media to explain why the person who does it was wrong for what they said and how the media was probably right about what they said. And it goes, so you are a self-sucking dick. You know what I mean? Like, I can come do an audit. I can come do some advising for Loader Express, right? I could go through your whole thing and give you an analysis of your company.
Right.
And I can say, hey, I see this here. Why did you do this here? Because this doesn't make sense in my brain. And you go, I did this because of this, and it led to this savings or this profit. And I go, and all my analyst friends go, well, no, based on the books, based on the theories, he should have done this, like we said. This is why you should go to this consulting firm because they got the right answers.
Right.
So I got the result that I wanted. And this is why I got the result that I wanted. And it's different than your analysis. I'm the doer. You're the talker. Shut the fuck up. Am I off there? Because I think the media should be able to criticize players, coaches, GMs, and all of that, right? But at what point is it that it's like, hey, media, no, you're fucking wrong. Shut up.
That's just, but I think that's like, that's a part of it. It comes with the territory, right? They're going to be right in some instances. They're going to be wrong a lot more than they're going to be right anyways, because they're just the outside looking in, just like the rest of us, right? We don't really know. There are certain things, of course, we can obviously point out and say, hey, what the fuck was that? Like, any fan, anyone that knows the game can point that stuff out. It's a thin line, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, between them knowing their role and just shutting their mouth. Just hate to pull the rock out right there, but kind of knowing like when just not just like say shit. But it's the media. And do you think ESPN's ever gonna I don't know what type of deal they have with ABC, but do you think that the NBA Finals will ever transition over to TNT? Because I think a lot of more people would love to be hearing Ernie, Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny talk about this.
I think that TNT needs to get a better color commentator, and they can do it. Reggie Miller.
No. But who knows? Maybe TNT pulls in ESPN.
Maybe TNT goes and grabs Doc Rivers. He's not coaching anymore.
Plus, he was already doing it anyways beforehand. That was what Doc was doing before he was coaching.
You know what? I wouldn't be mad at Stan Van Gundy if he could do it without Reggie Miller. I don't think Stan is bad on TV. I just don't want to hear Reggie. Like, I don't know if I talked about this on the pod, but listening to Reggie on TV talk, you're not going to make me believe he was this great trash talker that they said he was. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we didn't see it, but we seen the clips.
We saw this and all that, but you know,
but he was hooting and hollering at fucking Spike that whole game.
But what was he saying? Was it actually something of value? You know, like
he looked like he was just cursing at him a lot. That's what it looked like to me.
Like when we hear Shannon talk to Skip and the way he talks shit on TV, you go, yeah, nah, that nigga was talking cash money on the football field, bro. Like, that ain't nothing I wanted to deal with, just as a talker. But then you hear Reggie calling the games. 3 ball, corner pocket, Klay Thompson. Nigga, shut up. It's bad suits. So
Mark Jackson or Reggie Miller? Because I know you're not a big. You don't like Mark either.
Give me Mark Jackson because at least he says stuff that's so stupid I laugh at it. I'm telling you, if Mark Jackson wants a coaching job, he's got to take a year off of TV.
What about him talking about knocking Savannah James out of the park? With all due respect.
It was taken out of context.
So
it was not, I think he tried to make a sexual innuendo. Don't get me wrong.
But obviously was really talking about baseball.
Yeah, he's talking about her softball career and her pitching and saying I would knock her out of the park.
But he said with all due respect. That's where to me the fucking sexual innuendo, because he caught himself, but then he kind of let it roll anyways.
With all due respect as a pitcher to her skills.
He didn't say as a pitcher afterwards, though.
I'm just telling you what he could have been aiming for.
I'm telling you what we heard.
We know
what he said.
I'm telling you, he looked at it and said, yeah, I'd knock her out the fucking park. That's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
You know he's on Clutch, right?
Mark Jackson?
Yeah, he's a Clutch client.
Really?
Yeah.
Bron really want to take over the league, man. That's crazy.
Right. You know who else is a Clutch client, too? Shams.
Is he?
Yeah, you know, Shams and Chris Haynes kind of broke a big story this week that we forgot to put on the big board that we're going to talk about now. Thanks for the
which story?
Kyrie's allegedly recruiting.
Oh man, I don't want to hear that dumb shit.
Dallas. Do you believe it?
Yeah, I think that if Kyrie could have it his way, that's the way he would rather do it, because he gets to make more money staying in Dallas. And Luka, you could argue, playing with a guy like LeBron would be a little bit more solid in a sense of, because of AD's injury history, it would just be better to do it in Dallas as opposed to going to LA for it, if that makes any sense. So, like, I think that aspect of it, yeah, but the realisticness of it, no. I think that he knows that that's not going to happen. So it's just kind of like a stupid thing to put out there.
I think that Luka could use the mentorship of a LeBron because Luka is better game in and game out than LeBron's. Definitely statistically, right?
Right.
Luka's still clutch as hell. Luka makes big shots, takes big shots.
And he's proven it, right?
Yeah, but I also think there is some OG that LeBron can give Luka that maybe LeBron, KD, Steph. I can't think of many other players in the league who can give Luka that OG that I talk about all the time. How Ty Lue could tell LeBron to shut the fuck up in Game 7 when he was trying to tell him what they're going to do at halftime. And LeBron shut the fuck up and let Ty Lue coach his team. I think LeBron can give Luka some of that same shut the fuck up. Like, hey, dog, I hear you. But, nah, you're fat. Get in shape.
But you know what? But the issue, too, shouldn't Jason Kidd be able to do that in reality? Like, because of the caliber of player he was in the league. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer himself. So It was on the 75 team, right?
He should have been. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I think he was, because I think they showed him with the Jordan backstage when Jordan and Magic were doing the.
I mean, let's be real.
Where your shoes at?
I mean, Jason Kidd was one of the best point guards of our lives.
For sure. Yeah. That man drug a Nets team that had no business going to back-to-back NBA Finals
Yeah.
I don't care if they only won one game combined between both series.
And he was a very key contributor to Dallas beating LeBron in 11. And he
for sure.
Yeah, like bro, you're not gonna get any Jason Kidd slander as a basketball player out of me. But I don't know if Luka will take it from Jason in that way because of the way that the franchise is built. Like Haralabob got rid of Haralabob because of Luka. They got rid of what's my man's name? Rick, the coach.
Rick Carlisle.
Because of Luka. Like,
well, they got Donnie Nelson.
Yeah, they sent him packing too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because of Luka. So Luka has so much juice in that building, and Mark Cuban is so desperate to keep a star because he can't fucking sign a free agent to save his life.
Which is why they traded all that to get Kyrie.
Yeah, bro, they're on eggshells. So I think LeBron comes from a place of power, and he's like, bro, I got 4, and if you want 1, you need me to be me. And you know what I can do? I can rebound just as well as you can. I can demand the ball. J Kidd's my guy. I'll put you in the corner in the fourth quarter.
But if you break it down too, there just is no realisticness to that. How does that even work? They would not be able to make that trade. They've traded everything to get Kyrie. They have nothing to trade to get LeBron anyways. And I don't think that LeBron can opt out this summer. So
no, he can't.
So like there's no path for that. What is the path? There is no fucking path. You'd have to get so goddamn creative, like you'd be gutting the team completely of what you do even have. What's that? Kleba. I mean, what are those guys really worth? Kleba, Tim Hardaway Jr., maybe an even further distance first round pick. I mean, I don't know. Like what else?
Bring in a third team.
And then what? Like, I mean, like, I don't know how that works because the Lakers aren't willingly, even if LeBron tells him, I want out of here, and he demands a trade. I don't think that Jeannie and Rob are working with him to make it so sweet.
It depends on what they can get because they still want that salary. They want that slot, right? They want to be able to have somebody, and they will want a max player, not jump. So they can have that max salary so they can deal with bird rights and going over the cap, all that weird CBA shit
right.
that we don't understand, and I don't have any desire to understand, honestly.
Right. And then go ahead.
No, you keep going.
Well, and it was kind of going to break into the next kind of topic with it. And then now you got Chris Paul.
Let's close out the hour then. Let's close out the hour. We're at 58 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, guys, that's hour 1. What do we talk? We talked about some simping. We talked about women. We talked about the finals, and we talked about LeBron and Luka. We're going to kick off hour 2 with Phoenix waving goodbye to Chris Paul. Hour 2, guys. AC Lee and Parlay Pete podcast. You know, I don't have any cool audio to bring in for hour 2 like I did for hour 1, but Chris Paul is a free agent. React.
I'm not surprised. I think that we knew he was a I tell you what, I am surprised that they're releasing him today of all days. Like that they just decided to announce that he's getting cut today. Like, I mean, that was kind of a shocker, I guess. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility that he was going to get waived anyways because his guaranteed money was pretty much gone. And they were already, his cap hit was probably in the 30s, but because the guaranteed money on the contract was only like $12 million, they're going to save in that cap regard anyways. And maybe they just didn't think that they could find a trade partner. I thought that Chris Paul still had some value to where even if somebody just gave you, for instance, Boston gives you their first round pick this year, and it's like the 30th pick, 29th pick.
And Marcus Smart.
And I was thinking Smart too, would be because it would work for Phoenix to get a guy like Smart, move Devin Booker to the 1, just let him run the point, at least as of now, until you figure out if there's another way you can do it. Smart can be your 2. He's a D guy, kind of will do all the dirty work, and can make shots occasionally too. Like he's became a much better shooter than what I remember him being.
Oh yeah, he was a shooter at Oklahoma State.
Well, he was a hell of a basketball player in general. I mean, think about it. Marcus Smart was like the 3rd pick in the draft, 4th pick. I mean, he's a top 5 pick.
I know he was that guy when he was.
I think he was 6. I don't remember.
If you talk, I'll look it up. But if you're gonna look it up, I'll talk.
I'm looking.
All right, yeah. Chris Paul gets waived.
6th pick.
6th pick. Yeah, he was fine in college. Like.
And actually, he could have came out his freshman year and didn't, and came back his sophomore year. And I think he was still projected to have been a top 5 pick type player even after his freshman year. Then he had that incident when he went to the crowd and they started fighting too. I remember that. But
he called the N-word.
Yeah, I know.
Then he got sent to Boston, so he defends the fans that call other players the N-word.
Hey, it always comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, Chris Paul gets waived. I think it makes sense. You look at the new CBA, it's not ratified yet, but from everything that's been reported on what's been agreed upon, it was going to be hard for Phoenix to make their roster better, carrying all of Chris Paul's salary. So go ahead and get rid of him to signal to other players and other agents, hey, if you got a point guard, boom. There could be some back deal trades being worked out. Chris Paul he is represented by CAA, which is the biggest agency in agencies. So God knows what privilege information is being shared in that building that, that's the real tampering, It's not it's not the goddamn GMs and players talking. It's the agents and talking to one player to another player, talking to one team about their player X, and then an agent from that same agency talking to the team about other player X, and they can put 2 and 2 together.
Based on current construction, give me your top 3 teams that you think are destinations for him.
Chris Paul?
Yes. I think we both already, of course, agree on 1. Well, maybe even 2. 2 of them.
I go Boston, Milwaukee. I'm not going to say the Lakers because age, injury.
But what about the LeBron factor? Lay GM.
I'm trying to think of where
Lay GM. And that position just so happened to basically be open.
Hey,
they're not going to pay. They're not paying D'Lo.
Another good fit?
Who? Memphis.
No, I was going to say back to the Clippers.
I think Russ gets re-signed because of especially because of how strong his performances were. Now, granted, Kawhi was damn near out that whole series, and obviously there was no PG. He's the type of guy that they want because Russ he showed that he's still capable of having your team while those guys aren't playing.
Great.
Producing a 500 type basketball team, even with him being being himself.
Agreed.
That makes sense. Like he's capable of, he can steer the ship, steady while those guys aren't playing. And plus, then you can actually purposely rest those guys on certain nights, which I guess they kind of were doing anyways. But you can still win games. Like you can rest them when they come to, it's a bad team. When they go to Orlando, you can sit those guys. And and Russ is good enough to win that game.
What type of deal do you think Chris Paul signs?
It depends on where he goes. If he goes to clearly, like even in a place like Boston, the veterans mid-level exception, it seems like that's kind of going to be his lot at this point. If he wants to win, that is. If he wants to get paid, like I said, there's a scenario to me where if James Harden walks, I could see the Sixers swooping in to try and get him. Like just
a 2 for $40 with a player option at the end of one?
Something like 20 mil a year was kind of what I was thinking. Because I feel like that's kind of like where Russ is at too, but obviously Russ has more tread on his tires than CP3.
Does he?
I think so, Russ. Yeah. I mean, look, Russ still was averaging 17, 18 a game this year coming off the bench. So, like, I mean, his usage rate went down.
You send Russ to Utah, he could still be 25, 10, and 9.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I was just, you know, just being funny.
Yeah.
What about CP3 going back to New Orleans?
Good fit. I would like that fit because who's running the point there? Jose Alvarado?
Jose Alvarado, a little bit of CJ, but he's not a real point.
Yeah, CJ's not really a point. So I guess CJ was kind of running the point. Like, that'd actually be a really good fit if Zion's asses be on the floor and not, you know, fucking porn stars. But I think that would be a good fit too. That's an underrated fit. See, my three are this. I like Celtics, Lakers. Milwaukee makes a ton of sense too. Like, it just makes a lot of basketball sense. But because you could move Drew to the 2. You could do that. And of course, CP3 is not going to play 82 anyway. So it's like, you know, Drew will be running point as well in reality. But maybe for a third team, oddly enough, I mean, I think a team like Memphis could use a guy like him, especially to kind of mentor Ja once he is done with his suspension, however long that's going to be. He could play well enough with the pieces around him. I don't know if he would want to live in Memphis or anything, but like,
I mean, he's lived in New Orleans, OKC, like.
Yeah, similar, right? I guess to a degree.
He's a North Carolina guy.
Well, we know he's not going to Charlotte. Talk about Bill Simmons and who is it that he has on his podcast a lot?
Scylla?
Barnwell, I think.
Oh.
They went through the worst GM jobs and they like ranked.
Oh yeah, no, that was him and Russillo.
Okay, it was Russillo.
Yeah, they do it every Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, worst GM job, and that is up there as like the worst GM.
Golly, yeah, Michael Jordan, terrible owner. Hey, you know, they're talking about Michael Jordan selling. Do you think the same way the NBA kind of just stenciled him in there as the owner is the same way that they're going to just pull him out? Like, hey, Mike, it's not working, bro. If you want us to leak why you left the league, sell. Yeah, man, this CP3 thing, he's going to go to a contender. I don't see him playing losing basketball. But another point guard who could be on the move is Dame Lillard. Did you see his quotes from earlier this week on a podcast?
I did. And it was interesting because typically, even if asked a hypothetical type question like that, he typically has never really came out and outright said some shit like that, if that makes any sense. And I know that he was asked a question, but he also didn't have to answer it either, for what it's worth. And where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, and there's been a little bit of smoke for a while around him and what's going on in Portland. And I think that them getting the 3rd overall pick, they're like, hey, man, we got Simons. We got Sharp. We might go young, man. And what did he say? Miami, obviously, Bam is my dog. Brooklyn is another obvious one because Mikal Bridges is my dog, too. I'm like, dang. How are you so cool with these young boys? I mean, I'm not mad at it because Dame's older than us. Mikal Bridges is what, 24, 25? But anyways, I would love Dame in Miami.
Be a perfect fit.
Yeah, if they can afford it, like.
Well, you know, Lowry would get sent out. He'd be a part of that, getting sent out.
Yeah, he'll get sent out
by Portland.
Yeah. You got your depth, but depth.
Now you've got a bunch of guys that have like created value for themselves. Like Caleb Martin's way more valuable now. He's significantly more valuable because of the playoff run.
And I trust Miami to be able to find stuff that actually works and develop stuff, because what Miami does, unlike most of these other organizations, is they develop talent. They say, hey, here's what you're good at. Here's what I need you to be better at. So they develop them. Whereas it seems to me that a lot of teams expect players to show up, be who they are, and go develop themselves on their own with their trainers and stuff. It's like, nah, man, like I can go become a better basketball player, but am I becoming a better basketball player for this team? I don't know if I sent it to you. Gilbert Arenas had a very, very interesting piece about these draft prospects.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not Wemby, how do you get to tell me that you're not going to work out against other players? Like, how do you say this is going to be my workout? I'm coming in by myself. Like, how does the agents get to do that? You know what I mean? Like, dog, you could go anywhere from 4 to 12. Depends on fit and all this. Like, no, I want to see you compete. Like me watching you in a workout doing tween dribble pull up when your first 3 years you're going to be in the corner shooting corner threes. Like, what does that workout do for me? How do I evaluate your intangibles, your competitive nature when you're not competing against your peers?
Right.
When we're having you work out against an assistant coach who's a washed player or a has-been who never could be, you know, or you're shooting over this 5'8" dude. Like, okay, you shot.
Right. This guy that's in the scouting department's on the court.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, man. I just, and I think I put this in a group earlier this week. I think that Gilbert Arenas should be in a front office because he understands the competitive side of basketball. He's all about taking care of star players in the way they need to be taken care of. Like, hey, dog, like this whole hard practice during the season. Hey, man, I work out on my own for 4 hours a day. I lift on my own. Like, I don't need this hard practice. But at the same time, like I hear him talk about training camp and soft tissue injuries and how, well, yeah, these dudes don't lift. They don't work out. They don't have a training camp to harden their bodies. Like, you need that stuff, you know? So to hear a guy like him say that, someone who also averaged 30 points a game in this league when we were watching rock fights, 85 to 94 type games,
Mm-hmm.
I just think he would be a valuable asset, and a team would be smarter to get him in the building and off of his couch in the media.
And that could be true. And maybe the Wizards are the team that should be looking at him specifically. Because they seem like they don't know where they're going with their. That's another really bad job to have, too, now I think about it.
You think so? You don't want to be saddled with Brad Bill's Supermax?
No, and then Porzingis is a free agent, too, because he kind of played well enough to – somebody's going to pay him.
Probably the Wizards.
Well, right. Well, because they don't really have much of a choice. It's either that or really fall back in being obsolete even more. And you already missed out on the Wemby free sweepstakes, right? So we don't know who that – I don't know who the top player will be. I guess – who knows? Maybe they'll be bad enough to draft Bronny and then get LeBron to come to Washington. I don't know. But
Bron might retire.
wouldn't it be funny if that's kind of what he did? He based it on where his son got drafted and then was like, yeah, I'm done. Because if Bronny goes to the Thunder, now the thought is that the Thunder won't be picking in the top 10 next year, but
they got all the draft picks.
Like Oklahoma, could you really see LeBron James going to the Thunder? I know he loves Sam Presti, but like, would he really move to Oklahoma?
Especially if Bronny's a second-round pick.
He's not going to be a second-round pick.
You don't think so?
No, I think that there's going to be somebody that takes him no matter what in the first round.
It has nothing.
I think he could play 6 games in college and he's going in the first round. I do. I think that he could Darius Garland that thing, and he'll still be a first. The real question is he going to be a lottery pick? Yes or no? I think that's the question. But
you want to talk about Zion?
I don't see why not. The Big Easy, huh? That's the way it looks like it is for him.
So we talked about this in pre-production today of how, like, I mean, a couple hours before showtime, like we really got some heat
Yeah, it was an avalanche of fucking news.
So
Messy, you know.
So let me read through some of these tweets for you. Well, we got a young lady sending some screenshots of Zion on Snapchat. Come on, son. DM on vanish mode, like 21. He do that shit a lot. When you move, how much do you expect me to pay you a month? But I'm super excited. So I'm gonna pay for our kid, but like I'm excited, but I'm a paycheck dad. I'm not Jason Tatum and Deuce. No, Deuces. Then he said, "Bet I don't have a girlfriend, but if I moved you to New Orleans, would you be cool with being like my official, I guess, girl? Just asking so I know how to go about the situation with respect." Then we have a follow up from another young lady. I let you spit in my mouth last week when we fucked. You could have told me you had another whore pregnant. How is that gonna work? Moving us both to New Orleans? You think I would have found out? At Zion Williams.
This
Last,
is, it's not the same person.
I don't.
I thought it was the same person.
It's the same person.
Yeah, I think it's the I forgot her name, Mariah Mills or something.
Mariah Mills. Okay, yeah, it may be. Okay, this may be the same person.
Because who he got pregnant is
it's not her. Yeah, it's another chick.
IG. Yeah.
That he posted. Yeah, so Zion got a chick pregnant. He posted it. Then this other chick that he was involved with, that I guess he was serious with, was upset. And here's what I want to say, man. Without sharing a last name, how serious do you think you are with a max NBA player? A guy who has more colorways and shoes than games played. You know what I mean? How delusional are you to think that you are the one and only?
You know that he's missed more games than LeBron James has his entire career already. It's a true stat. It's so crazy. I couldn't believe it either. Because LeBron's missed quite a few games now here since he's been with the Lakers. He's missed more games than LeBron has his entire career.
That's freaking nuts.
But it still somehow played more games than what Embiid did in his first 3 years.
And I think that Zion's idea was, yes, I could have both of you all in New Orleans, and y'all aren't going to live with me. I will put you guys in separate, nice neighborhoods, and I will make time for you, and I will lie about my whereabouts when I'm not with you. I think it's an easy day. Or I have money, and I don't care.
I'm going to go with the latter. I mean, that was what I thought. I was just like, I think he's just rich as fuck, and it's just like kind of one of those things where, look, just keep fucking me. I mean, I'm going to keep telling you whatever you want to hear, you know?
And the Birkins are still coming. So then I saw a post, Guns and Buns, the South Carolina addiction story. And it's Ja and Zion next to each other. Ja Morant bringing guns into the club, but Zion Williamson's the one shooting clubs up.
It's something in that South Carolina water, right? I mean,
do you just think it's
what are they like Sumner County or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. Do you think it's just these young boys from the country got it, living, and just fuck it? I ain't never did this before. No, I ain't never did this before.
I think that it is. It's literally just that you know, they're guys that have come up on generational type money already in their lives.
Late bloomers.
And yeah, they were both late bloomers. And they're also kind of the toast of their town. I mean, I know that Zion hasn't really played, but obviously when he has played, he's been great. Like, he's been great when he's played. Hell, the Pelicans were the number 1 seed before he went down. I mean, think about that. And so,
I was gonna take this somewhere else, and I totally lost my train of thought. I'm trying to think, like, what? I mean, like, what do you expect? Like, how? Like,
I expect better than that. I mean, and when I say I expect better than that, I
okay,
expect, Ja to be smart enough to not pull a gun out on
right?
around anyone anymore after what happened the first time. Fuck if the other guy's his IG. Man,
If you're
fuck
not,
Instagram. There's no phones. Why are you? I mean, there's just no reason to do it. Anyone could catch you at that point, right? So I think that like that's stupid as hell. And then with Zion, I'm not even really surprised, low key, by that. Like, it's like a pass. It's like a passing of the baton in the NBA when it comes to shit like that. You know?
I just think, you know, they should Zion should move with more discretion. Uh, I talk about this from time to time in private conversation, but there's a reason why actors and actresses date each other. There's a reason why athletes date other famous chicks and why famous chicks usually date other famous guys. It's not necessarily because they don't have an interest in a normal 9 to 5er, they're above it. It's you understand the lifestyle. You understand the secrecy that's needed here, the discretion, the filter, and all of that stuff. So I just think that Zion being young and green, happy to hit any piece of chunky monkey out there, that he didn't go hey, I'm gonna hit this Hollywood chick that everybody else is hitting, not because everybody else is hitting, but because she knows the industry, she knows the game, and she knows she gets more by shutting the hell up and leaving me alone in the public eye instead of going out and talking, trying to get some fame and some clout. Because I think the chick who went public, she just want more OnlyFans subscribers.
Right.
She just wants like her name to be out there, and it's like, hey, dog, if the woman has something to gain by publicly outing you and you're a public figure, don't touch her.
Right.
Like, we know how many, outside of what Brittany Renner and her little tell-all book and Corinne Stephens and her tell-all book, we don't hear the stories about who these guys are really messing with. You got to be able to afford to go to the party to know. Or get you an ironclad NDA.
That's the route that everybody else seems to go, and that's why, LeBron didn't even get married to Savannah until like
Miami.
Yeah. And goddamn well. Goddamn well that this man was out here fucking hoes. Like, everybody knows that. Like, that's just not a secret. He's young and it was in the NBA. And I think the Savannah knew that too, that the reality was basically from Savannah's end, obviously they had Bronny, but like at the same time, it's more so along the lines of just don't forget about me. Because this is a battle I'm not going to win. Because I know that you're in the NBA, you're arguably the most popular. You became the top 3 most popular players in the league the moment you picked up a ball and started your first game against the Sacramento Kings. You were already one of the 3 most popular players because you were so goddamn popular when we were in school together. You're gonna fuck hoes because you're gonna be introduced to bitches that look better than me, but that don't mean that you love them.
I saw what you was doing in Akron with them dust bunnies.
You're going to be on the road 50% of the time from October until at the bare minimum May, right? Or the end of April, rather. So we're talking what? 6-7 months. You're automatically going to be on the road half the time.
You're going to be doing Nike stuff in the off season. You're going to be doing USA basketball. Hey, don't come home with anything that's going to ruin this. I think that's the approach that most women should take if they're with a highly successful man. Like, hey, and this is me probably being a toxic man, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't bring anything home or don't embarrass me out in public in a way that you create an issue at home. Don't let what you're doing while you're gone come back into the house.
Yep.
Yeah. We see how Rihanna used to look at LeBron coming to Cleveland to watch a basketball game. I can only assume. But you know what Rihanna's not going to do? To get on Instagram and comment under our pictures like, y'all cute or whatever.
She's not going to be visible.
Exactly. And if she's not visible, she doesn't exist.
She's just like any other celebrity.
Just like Mario Winans. I used to say Mario Winans was the biggest sucker in the game. But then I got older, and I was like, he got a point. I don't want to know. If I don't know, it didn't happen.
I don't want to know.
Is there anything else there was something else basketball that happened that I wanted to talk about. It popped into my head.
Hold on, give me 1 second. All I gotta do is go back to topics. Let's see.
I didn't have it on the list. It happened this week. You care about Shaq being spotted with Brittany Renner? I don't.
I'm not mad at that, brother. I would hit Brittany Renner too. So I'm a little surprised he's just caught out like that with her. But like outside of that, I mean, am I surprised that he's with her? No, like not at all. This man hit on somebody that we know, and I got to see the messages. So I'm like, so I know goddamn well he's gonna do it with her. I mean, so it's just like,
you see Pete Davidson hooping?
You said who?
Pete Davidson.
I saw it got put in the group. I think you put it in. I did not actually watch it though. He's balling. I mean, he's like, what is he? He's like 6'4".
He can play basketball. He's all right.
He's like 6'4". I mean,
yeah, he's frail.
I would hope that he was putting his height to use when he was in high school.
Lee, are we out of topics? I mean, I know we got some golf stuff we can talk about. You want to talk about golf?
I mean, we can just talk about optically how bad it looks low key, but how much sense it makes too in the grand scheme of things for the PGA and the way that they were just vehemently against this Saudi money and what it's.
Okay, well, Parlay Pete disappeared for a second. Excuse the mess in the back because wasn't expecting for y'all to get a whole full screen shot of me here. Yeah, you get to see some of the magic that goes on back here. But yeah, we're talking about live golf and some of what's happened there and stuff that we may or may not have expected because the PGA got on their high horse about how they didn't want any Saudi money. And I thought it was nonsense from the jump, but I'm also not a moralist, right? So when I hear things like that, I go, okay, everybody has a price. Every freaking body has a price. We can all be bought. You can have the strongest morals. You can have the strongest values. But at the end of the day, like, you can be bought. And we see it every single day. You talk about street culture and, I'm solid, 10 toes down, I'm standing on it. Until they put that time in your face and they say, hey, you say this, you do that. And you can go home and see your kid. We'll give you time served and call it a day. Shout out to Gunner, right? But yeah, the PGA, they're now combining with the Live Golf Tour. And I think it's great. I think that what Live was offering golfers is amazing. The fact that some golfers, we're having to pay to play, and if you don't place in a certain part of the tournament, you may not make money that weekend. Why should I not be a salaried player, right? Why should I have to be a independent contractor? So good for the golfers. You know, why in the world are we treating the golfers this way? You know, they're the star. They're the straw that stirs the drink. And now we got Liv coming in, and the only thing that really sucks are the guys who turned down Liv, who are now going to be involved with Liv. And you could have just done this for a year and some change, and you would have made a shitload more money.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like I said, it doesn't surprise that they ended up making this thing one of those murder type things, just because they were already taking away so many people that were talented, some of the best golfers in the world, and those guys are just kind of like, well, why can't we just do both? You know, why can't we do both? And you know, they caved at the end of the day. They wanted the money too. They want to expand the game, I guess, in a sense, by doing something like this. And it's similar to when the WWE bought WCW, and
oh God, worst thing that ever happened to wrestling.
Yeah, and now obviously they have AEW. I mean, I don't watch wrestling anymore, and but I know that the WWE is not nearly as popular as it used to be, and so
well, Vince can't write those salacious storylines like he used to. He might get canceled.
You mean the combination of wrestling with Jerry Springer?
Yeah,
because that's pretty much what the Attitude Era was, right?
Yeah, I mean, I sent that post to the group yesterday about the Generation X talking about them and the white and the white white sheets and stuff, and then they said the N-word, right? And Farouk and them just went and took off on them boys.
Crazy. Good time though. Good time.
You know, I'm actually shocked that Vince didn't let him actually say the actual N-word.
I mean, he said it.
He did, and John Cena said it,
and that was well after that too. That's
exactly. So
we're talking about that's like ruthless aggression era. So,
hey, so you want to see like what all was in this deal? Because I got a screenshot of it.
Go for it. Yeah.
PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and PIF Live Golf Tour to combine commercial operations. Mission to unify the game of golf on a global basis. New collectively owned for-profit entity name to be determined. PIF will make capital investment into new entity to facilitate its growth. PGA Tour will remain as 501c6 tax-exempt organization. You scoundrels! PGA Tour Incorporated retains administrative oversight of the PGA Tour, including sanctioning of events. Mutually agreed to end all pending litigation between the participating parties. Process to be established for players to reapply for PGA Tour or DP World Tour membership after 2023 season. So what it sounds like is Liv is buying the PGA Tour, but the PGA Tour keeps creative control. Hey, I got this nice plump ass. It's all yours if you got the right amount of money.
1 second, Lee. I got to take this call. 1 second.
All right, no problem. So as he takes that call, let's make this a bigger conversation, right? Let's take it off of golf and let's take it on. We all have a price. And I talked about it a little bit before Parlay Pete left and came, or while he was gone and came back, but we all have a price. Everything is for sale, especially in this great nation that we call America. Everything is for sale. Even if it's not listed, it is for sale. You can be sitting in the house of your dreams. You saved up your entire life. You invested well. You worked hard, and you got this house. Somebody says, hey, how much would you want to sell that house for? You say it's not for sale. And then they show up with a Godfather offer, giving you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times the worth of that house. You know what happens? You sell it. And then you rebuild it in a better location with better views and better materials. Or you just buy something that's already built, move your stuff over there, and you retire. Who knows? But we all have a price. And when you see people like the PGA, members of the tour, people in the American public with their morals saying, I don't want that dirty Saudi money, but I'm wearing Nikes. I don't want that dirty Saudi money, America. But America is in business with Saudi Arabia. We conduct operations in Saudi Arabia. We have military personnel in Saudi Arabia. We maintain a relationship with Saudi Arabia. Our president meets with the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. And that's why I think it's so important to never, ever get on your moral high horse. Because when you stand on that moral high horse and that price comes and somebody cuts your legs out from under you, you look like a jackass. You lose all credibility that you had before that conversation started. Right? Because you were going to stand on your morals when you should have just stood on your principles, which is money. When you should have just said, hey, at the right price, we can get anything done. I can look past a few things, you know? It's like when you have a job. You cannot like the direction that the company's going in. You cannot like management. You cannot like your coworkers. But if the money's right, you'll probably stay. You're not in a rush to get up out of there because guess what? The things that your desires that you want are being filled from that job. And that's exactly what we saw happen here. Just like so many of us said, we're boycotting the NFL. They did Colin Kaepernick so dirty. But I love watching the game. It's so entertaining. It's so fun. Football's been a part of my life for so long. How can I not enjoy this? Or those who say the NFL got too woke. I can't do it. All right. Sounds good. Or those of you who were upset with Bud Light for partnering with the community to try to expand their customer base. Guess what? It didn't work. But you know what else happened? The InBev stock price dipped and came right back up. Because people like cheap beer, especially when they drink a lot of it. So we all have a freaking price. And for the PGA to act like they are above having a price, even though they are a tax-exempt organization, they treat their golfers like hired hands, independent contractors instead of salaried workers. This is what you get. This is what you get. You can't show me time to time that you're money hungry. And then all of a sudden, the money comes and you're going to turn it down. No, you're just waiting on the right dollar figure. You're losing steam. You're losing popularity. You're losing your best golfers. You don't have Tiger anymore. People like to live. So they're living. But it takes me to another interesting thing, right? I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember which one it was. It was talking about Black America and how so often in Black America we see that our culture doesn't stand on values. We don't stand on principles. We don't stand on morals, right? We say we do. We say we're going to boycott Gucci, and then we go back to wearing it once we see something that we like. And it led me to wonder, do we as Black Americans, Black people in America, are we so quick to sell out because we were sold? Do we look at everything as a transaction because our origin in this country was transactional? I will give you this much money for this person. I will give you this many people for this person. You know, in the industries we tie ourselves to, sports and entertainment, where it's all transactional. It's tying money to a person. And these are careers that have become very profitable, but those in the arena lack control. Like I was watching Succession the other day, right? I'm late to Succession. Sorry. No spoilers here. But I was listening to Tom talk to Greg about Nero and sports and how the athletes were like forms of slaves that he watched for his own entertainment. And I think about the court jesters coming in to entertain the kings and the royals, right? And the dignitaries, the nobility, you know? And I go, dominate those industries. Now we're handsomely paid for what we offer in entertainment, but we are still slaves to the system. There's not a route of ownership. You don't get to take control of yourselves. You see what happened to Kanye West when he said things that disturbed people that, oh yeah, he just got his Adidas money, $75 million that were frozen, that he could not touch because the entertainer upset the promoters, right? You know, when you book a show, you can be the biggest act in town, but if the promoter don't pay you, you don't get paid. You got to sue them or fight. So what I was talking about, Parlay Pete, was how the PGA has, you know, had a price that, and they sold out. And by standing on morals, you know, you lose so much of your credibility that once you sell out, because you said it wasn't about the money, it was about this, and this. And then once the money's right, you can look past that, which is, I mean, which we all have a freaking price.
Well, and that's business.
Yeah, like Loader Express could no longer be yours if the price was right.
Absolutely.
And then I talked about in Black America how we are so quick to sell out. We don't mind selling out.
We prefer it.
Yeah. And the question is, does that come from us being sold into American culture that we view life as transactional and trying to get the most bang for your buck because we were swapped, traded, sold for each other? And then you look at like the origin of sports and entertainment, the industries that we dominate.
Draft.
You got the draft, but then you also, like, I was watching Succession and one of the characters talked about how Nero back in the day looked at like sports, right? Going to the Coliseum and stuff is like, yeah, these are slaves like duking it out.
Right.
And then you think about entertainers like the court jester. He was not a well-respected man in town. He was brought in to make a fool of himself to entertain the rich. Well, now we're just rich slaves, right? Rich jesters. And that's what dominates our society. The people, our quote unquote role models, are our best and our brightest, our richest, the most famous. Most of them don't work for themselves. They are still subject to a lot of fucking rules.
Yeah.
Look at John Morant. John Morant is possibly losing a half year of pay, losing endorsement deals for not breaking the law, a bad error in judgment.
But at the second time.
For the second time, but at the end of the day, what he did wasn't out of the recording of it was out of the norm, but him being as rich as he is, going to a strip club with a gun on him, not abnormal.
Right.
Him being in a car with a gun, not abnormal. Now, flashing it and recording it or it getting recorded
and putting it on social media,
right? That stuff, not great. But
we're not talking about a Laramie Tunsil situation where somebody got a hold of some old video of him and just leaked it. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is live time. This guy, this is going on in real time, you know, him doing this stuff. Because don't you think it would have been a little different if in that situation, for instance, if somebody had just leaked a video and it could have been from months prior to the strip club incident and they just put it out type thing? I don't think that it would have it wouldn't be as bad. It just would have been like, damn, okay, this is why after he did get caught at that time, like he had to do that. But to do it immediately after, and after saying, you're working on yourself, even in your exit presser against the Lakers, saying you were a distraction and that you're going to work on that, and then to just immediately, I mean, we're not even talking a week after these guys got bounced. You're caught on tape doing that, and then you were in Atlanta like the night before at a club, like, doing all this crazy shit. I don't know.
I've heard stories that LeBron and D Wade were going crazy in Miami at the clubs. And I remember we were in college. They came through and they hosted a party at a Club Miami. What pictures do we have of that?
None, because they probably weren't allowing it.
Do you think Steph Curry has never gone to a club?
And then let's be fair on this too. Social media wasn't as relevant then either.
No, but
and the different types of wrinkles that are in it, like live was not a thing. I mean, the worst it could be would be on a forum or on like Twitter or something.
Well, even James Harden, who's known to go out a lot, we've seen some James Harden material. Like we've definitely seen footage of James Harden.
Yeah, but it's him with big butts in his face with some hundreds going. Or
yeah, like we've never seen anything terrible, right? Like there's so many athletes, famous people who we know go out. Bro, you live in Atlanta. I've partied in Atlanta. Bro, I saw Drewski out a year ago. He was not as famous as he is today, but he was very much Drewski. Like this is post-pandemic, Like he was out with his guys. He came through. It was when we were at Buckhead Saloon for Halloween. He came through a side door. They got escorted to their section.
Mm-hmm.
They partied. I mean, you kind of see him. I'm sure somebody captured a shot of him, but you didn't see any weed. You didn't see anything else. If there's anything else up there, like he walked away with no damning information that could have fucked up that Google deal he has now.
Yeah.
and he's a comedian,
right? And he will do dumb shit like that,
and he can do it, and it probably doesn't mess up his money. So I think what Ja's been doing is so flagrant that stuff has been allowed to get out now. Like we heard the Zeke stories, but we still ain't seen what happened. We saw what we saw,
right?
But there's always the talks of, well, nah, Jerry's been doing this, and this to make sure that this, and this doesn't get out. Hadn't gotten out yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I just think the biggest thing for him is it's just the first thing that happened, and then the fact that it was in question of whether he broke the law on the first incident, because that was kind of the big thing too, where they're like, well, what he did was almost could have been a felony, like it was just, and then you start talking about team rules and stuff, NBA rules of how did the gun get there because they're not in Memphis, so even if it is his gun, you're not allowed to carry it on the team plane. So how did it get there? There was a lot of, obviously, alcohol and that being a law in Colorado. There were so many different things around that, and it opened it up to be bigger than what it really was too. But then the second time for it to happen so soon after, and then it just be kind of like, bro, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? It was more so they're making an example out of him. That's what that is. He's just going to be made an example out
of a roster of 15 players, 8 coaches, GM, assistant GM. How many guns do you think travel on NBA planes?
I mean, if we're talking security or something too, I mean, yeah, there's those. I don't think any of the players, I think that the Gilbert Arenas situation was like something that David Stern and them got together and they put together probably to where that became that rule. And if you remember, think about it, Gilbert got suspended the rest of the year. So did Javaris Crittenton. And Javaris Crittenton fucking didn't like murder somebody or like, so.
But the weird, and Gil talked about this and I totally believe it. And Gilbert and Jai, they get lumped into the same thing together because they're players with guns. niggas who carry guns carry their guns, and their guns are in their car. Their guns are in their duffel bags. Like I assume that there's less guns on planes than there are in locker rooms.
Yeah.
But I still think there are guns in locker rooms. I think guns will always be in locker rooms, and the idea that it's weird and it's fishy. Maybe I live in the South and I live in Georgia where you can legally open carry without a permit.
Yeah.
So somebody having a gun in their duffel bag isn't weird to me.
Yeah.
Like countless times, especially before I had the gate code, when I came to your house, I had my book bag, I had my stuff.
Right.
And I said, hey, where is a safe, high place where I can put this pistol?
Right.
I'm not aggressive. I don't fight. Like, I don't take it when we go out. I don't be like, hey,
Right.
no, bro, we got to drive so I can have a strap. Like,
Right. You just don't know about these niggas these days.
yeah, like, bro, look here. If we don't carry enough cash, like, y'all gonna rob us for some shoes and a couple gold chains, bro. Like, ain't even no diamonds here, dog.
Right. It's not too much that we could do.
Like, hey, bro, you got it. Like, we don't, when we go out, we don't carry anything on us worth getting shot for.
Right.
All right, so you want to hit this last little, let me see. I know you don't want to touch Azalea Banks because that was disgusting.
She's right. She's really not even worth our time, bro.
Yeah, no, like it.
She's just clearly she's a person, bro, that seeks attention. Like she's an attention seeker. Like
Her comments validates what he said to her.
correct.
Yeah, like don't play. Okay, let me see what else I got on here. Messi's coming to America.
I saw. Did you see the? I think Complex had the visual, but they put his face over Eddie Murphy's on the Coming to America billboard.
I didn't see that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Here, actually, here I'm gonna put that in the group too.
I think that's great. I'm happy that they were able to broker that deal. And before we saw the details, I said, he's getting more than his salary says. And well, he's getting ownership in the team. He's getting like a proceed of ticket sales. Oh, I like that.
The TV deal.
Yeah, so he's getting paid his worth. And I don't know if you saw that post of like that one soccer player who's getting paid annually, like the NFL salary cap. And I think what this Messi deal is and what's going on in soccer is showing the value of athletes, and hopefully the athletes in these other sports can come together and actually collectively bargain appropriately so that they get paid what they're due.
Well, and obviously with him, this is the scariest part about his deal, and what makes it so different from Beckham and Zlatan. Like, you know, both of them came over too and were big names in the Premier League, you know, and Spain La Liga and stuff like that. They were big names. But Messi, we just saw this man in the World Cup do what he did. So he can still play is what makes it crazy. And the fact that he's going to be even coming on board this season makes it even wilder. Like, you know, they play here. Miami FC plays Atlanta United in August.
You going?
Yeah, man. And that's going to be first of all, because Atlanta United lost Joseph Martinez, who's been their best player, you know, since the team got started. He plays for Miami FC too.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that was going to be a big game because he's coming home. But now you add in the fact that Messi's going to be at what some consider not even some, the numbers say it, the best soccer atmosphere in the United States. That game's going to be ridiculous.
Random question, but related. Are you going to that Beyonce concert on Friday?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll talk later about that.
Yeah.
You want to close this out with the creep topic from
Yes. Give us some of the research that you got from it.
All right, so let me go back and find the original post and read the answer because I got some interesting stuff from it. All right, so I saw this post and it was Dear women, how old were you when older men started approaching you with sexual interest? And I said, oh man, this would be a great topic for the show because we both have daughters, but we're also men who've approached women and at some degree may have approached younger women. I'm not talking about like disgustingly young. I mean, like it's just the first week of school and we're on the promenade because it's a new crop of women out there that we don't know yet. We don't have
Right.
reputations with them, right? So like let's have a honest conversation about the difference between wooing and the difference of praying and what's the line and like getting into like the nuance of this
Look,
conversation.
inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
then I started getting some responses, right? And some of the ages I got 15, 13. One was like 13, but something happened when I was 7. And yeah, another one, 10 and 12. One was middle school, grown ass men in the mall. Another middle school, 15, 16. Right. So I go, this is weird because it's a blind spot for me because my cutoff always was, were we in high school together? Like, if I came back to Cartersville as a college student, were we in high school together? Are you legal? Well, first, are you legal? Because that
Right.
matters first. Age of consent when I was young in Georgia was 16.
16.
Don't know if it's changed.
You could have been a senior dating a sophomore,
Exactly.
and that would have been fine.
Exactly. So that was my frame. Like 16 is legal. If once I hit 18, if you are not 16, I have nothing for you. Then were we in high school together? Because if we weren't in high school together,
You're
that's
completely off limits. I don't care what you look like.
yeah,
You can be
Then-
14 and look 20.
exactly. And then when I get a little bit older, like into like my mid 20s, are you 21?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Like if you can't if you can't go
If we can't go out and go to the bar, then
right.
I
Unless
don't want to hang out anyways. What the fuck are we gonna do?
unless it's like a 23-20 thing and we already have an established relationship, like I've known you and some things like go there, that's one thing. But if you're brand new, like no, if you can't go to the bar, where are we going? We're gonna go grab dinner at 8:00 and hope that
Go to a movie.
like and hope when it converts to a bar that like they don't check for IDs, No,
Yeah.
bro, like I want to drink. So and then as I even got older into like my late 20s, it's like, yo, are you 25? And there's so many layers to it. Well, maturity. What is our conversation about? Are you comfortable in your body? Because if you're like hey, I need to have the lights off. I don't like seeing myself naked. If you
Right.
got all like, no, bro, like, do you have experience? Hey, dog, I don't want no virgin. I want to have good sex. Like,
Right, I'm not trying to pop your cherry or leave this mark.
no. And I'm not trying to coach you through how to be good at this. I can coach you through what I like. But like, if you think you got a good mouth, I want you to take control and like not be like, do you like this? You like no. So because I have like those blind spots just because of the way that I carry myself as a man, and don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I've never been like I used to say the worst thing God ever made was an underage baddie. Because you'd be like, hold on, you're what? Oh, girl, you fun to hell. So I'm not coming from it as if somebody who's totally naive and has never been like, oh yeah, she's not pretty because she's underage. Like, she got some ass, boy.
Right.
Well, girl, if you was old enough, But like,
well, when we were in high school too, and there were chicks that were super duper developed when we were in high school. So I mean, we know that it's real. That's a real thing to where you could see a 17-year-old that does look 23. I mean, that's
yes.
When I first got to Mount Vernon, there's a girl that I went to school with that looks the exact same today. I mean, she's put on a little bit more weight, but like outside of that, in terms of her look, she looked like a grown woman back then. I thought that she could have been. I didn't think she was somebody's mom because she didn't look old enough to be a middle schooler's mom, but like I easily thought that this was the college sister that's still in town that hasn't went back, that's coming to her freshman sister's orientation or something. And then when we talked, she's, a matter of fact, she's the first person I met that day. And, you know, I told her my name and I said, you know, and then obviously I found out she was a student and I was like, oh, what grade are you? She said 10th. And I was like, shit, we're in the same grade. Like, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I couldn't fucking believe it. And I still remain friends with this girl to this day. But the point is that even with her, like, she looked like a grown ass woman, bro. Like, and we were 15. So,
coach, I'm ready to play.
Yes, no, she looked.
So then, like, I like started asking like deeper questions. I'm like, so were you actually like approached or just acknowledged, right? Because acknowledging it, you don't know how old she is. It may be from a distance, but then like you approach and it's like, no, man, like I was approached by dudes and, you know, I would tell them how old I was. They didn't care. And I'm like, so how, and a lot of the answers were very consistent. I'm like, so how did that play for you moving forward? Like, how did that play with your relationship toward men, your view towards men? How do you view it now as you're older? Because and one was like, yeah, you know, I didn't know that it was bad then because it was the norm. And now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, those dudes are creeps. Happy I didn't do it. Right. Now, one answer I got was from a lady who's not American. Spent some time in the Middle East and Africa, right? Half Kenyan, and like her shit was totally like wild, right? And she was talking about how she, as a young teen, she hung out with guys who were 5, 6, 7 years older than her because that was the social norm. She knew nothing different. But then she found out those guys would bring the girls, it's like the 40, 50-year-olds, and would get paid. Just
some Jeffrey Epstein type shit.
Yeah, like they would get paid to bring the young girls around. And a lot of times these guys aren't even trying to fuck them. They just want to get away from their wives and have some young entertainment. And she talked about being so happy that she didn't give in at a young age like some of her friends did because they got trapped in that cycle. And now you are the 18-year-old, once 18-year-old, now 30-year-old mistress of this guy whose mom could have kept you when you were like a little kid type shit. You know what I mean? And she was like, I'm so happy I didn't do it because I was able to break that cycle and get away from it. And I'm like, thank you, because I'm not a creep. Like, we all do creepy stuff. Like, and I'm going to keep like prefacing it with like, bro, we all got skeletons in our closet to some degree, but some ain't that deep. You know what I mean? Like, if you dig it up, all right, sure, we can talk about it, bro. Like, but as a dad, it scares the shit out of me because not that I can't protect my daughter from creeps because, I'm not going to lock you in the house. But just the simple fact that that is the common experience, not the outlier experience. And I'm a guy who hangs out with guys who at some points in their life have had a fair amount of sex with a fair amount of nice looking women, and they're like in the age bracket.
Yeah, and it's just crazy too, because by the time we get to that age, you know, you look at that, let's just say based on the age you kind of gave, it sounded like 13 was a popular answer.
Yeah.
You get to that age, you know, my daughter that's 10 years from now, so I'll be 40, right? And you know, the fact that it'll be dudes that, you know, now, and look, I'm not, because, well, first of all, like you said, you can't keep anyone in a cage. And I don't want to do that either. But there are going to be certain ways where I'm going to limit even that type of exposure to even be a chance for her to be 13 walking around the mall, obviously not by herself, but with friends or whatever. Maybe I'm in the mall and I'm like, all right, y'all go head wherever whatever's going to be the in store at the time, you know, to where y'all go look, window shop, do whatever the fuck I guess preteen teenage girls do. And I'm there, but obviously I'm not there because they're going to be somewhere within there. Of course, I'm just a phone call away or whatever. And I know where they're headed because she's going to tell me. But just the idea that there could be another grown-ass man walking around that's similar to my age or maybe a little bit younger than me, catcalling and stuff like that. It just, men in general, man, it's pretty fucking sad because, but there's so many niggas that are just going to be getting that are turned down where they think that that's like their only option and their only way of going about things too, because there are women there is that don't want to do shit with them. So at that point now they got to try and find somebody that don't know that don't know,
And I think that's what it is. It's the guy who can't fuck an 8 in his peer group. So you start dropping down peer groups.
Yeah.
And you become so much more impressive because of the information that you have. Like, imagine us going back to walk through Spelman one day, right? With what we know now, how easy would it be to go and kill and go crazy?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be what do they call them? Imagine a petting zoo, but for hunting.
Right. Yeah.
It's like lay out the feed, and the animals are gonna come because the feed is there no matter what. They're easy kills.
Now, imagine you drop that in the locker room. Dog, bro, I just went crazy at Spelman. You're getting clowned.
Well, because the question is, for one, what the fuck are you doing at Spelman? Let's just start there. Why are you at Market Friday? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You don't work up there, so what are you doing?
So you're bragging about getting some 20-year-old ass? Bro, we're 30.
Yeah.
Again, it's not against the law, but it is a behavior that
it's against man code.
Right. It's way more sick to be 30 looking for 20-year-olds than it is to be like 20 and fucking a 17-year-old. And in some states, that's illegal. But like, y'all are peer. Y'all bring out 3 years apart. Y'all don't know shit about shit. I don't know. You're 30 and with an established career.
Right. You got a whole decade.
Not you were at homecoming and you just met a cute girl and y'all caught a conversation and shit happened.
You just so happened to have been
a senior,
Yeah, and you didn't know. I mean,
she was at the club.
Right.
At the club. So she went to the alumni party instead of the student party, right?
Right.
It was like, hold on, I'm an alum. Not like a fresh out alum. Because I get if it's your 1 year or 2 years out, you go senior, we can go to stuff like that because your people are there.
Right. Like you said, we go to school together.
Right. Like you're us. Yeah. Imagine us going to Coronation Ball, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Kids look like babies almost in a weird way. Like two.
No, you remember where I lived at in San Diego, like right by SDSU.
Mm-hmm.
I moved into that apartment at 23. And I would like go around, like, I would hang out, like I would hoop on campus, go to the corner store, sometimes just walk around and stuff, right? And I went to a party or two like on campus, like in my first year there.
Yeah.
I remember I'm at a party one time.
You could have easily been a grad school student too, though. Like that, like there's so much layer with that. Yeah.
I'm at a party one night, and I don't know these people. We see some people partying. We got beer and liquor. We're like, hey, yo, can we come through? Like, bet. Then it gets to a point they're like, we're out of liquor. We're out of beer. Can somebody go get some beer? I'm like, yeah, bro. I got some money if I want to go get it. Like, you got a fake? I go, bro, I'm 24.
Right.
I'll just go. What do y'all want? I'll just go get a 30. Right. Like, it's no big deal.
Right.
Like at that moment, I go, I'm not gonna move because this apartment is cheap and big. But I'm done over here. Like, I can't be around people looking like, how are we gonna get booze?
Yeah, that's taking a step back in life. I mean,
and then like I'm sitting there like, well, if this party gets busted and they pull IDs, I become responsible
for supplying liquor to underage.
And I had no idea. I didn't ask no question. I just saw people drinking, partying, and showed up, right? And I go, yeah, nah, dog, it ain't like that. And I was even talking to some people at work, and they were talking about some, yeah, dog, Albany State, we can go over there. And I said, hey, man, you're 25. There's nothing on that campus for you. Like, sure, there are some older students, non-traditional students there, but dog, you're 25. Go to the bar. Get the fuck off of the college campus. So to tie it back into parenthood, I think it's important to open up lines of communication. so that our daughters feel comfortable talking to us about stuff like that. And then we tell some of those truths about ourselves that their mothers may not want to hear about us, or them know about us,
Right.
the child know about us. To when you gotta let the child know that, like, hey, I'm hip. Like I some of the guys you like, I was like him when I was younger.
Right.
But let me tell you a little something so you can best take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm 100% with you. It's just going to be one of those things where topics like this, it makes you're aware that stuff was kind of going on, just because it's just, that just for whatever reason, that is just the way that this kind of is, and it shouldn't be that way. But like, I think to think that it's happened to so many is really where it kind of comes in, because I don't know. I'm an adult. I'm at that age now, and I just have no fucking interest whatsoever. Like, I have an 18-year-old niece, and her little friends have come around too, and like, I don't have any interest in looking at them in any type of way. Like, you know what I mean? Or making any sexual innuendo type comment. Like, no,
Yeah,
like,
bro.
no. Like,
It's weird. I remember
I got too much ass waiting on me, like downtown. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't.
bro, I said this one time, and maybe we bleep it, but I said I'll never understand a rapist, right? Like, fuck him being a creep, all that other shit, right? It's not good sex. Like, why would you knowingly have bad sex? Like, if my wife,
Also knowing that it's a crime, and it's like you can easily go to jail for this for a long time.
if my wife's not in the mood, and I know that because we're married, like, you give in sometimes just to make your partner happy. If she's not in the mood, I'm like, all right, no, it's okay. Like, I don't want to have sex if you don't want to have sex. Or like, if we're arguing some shit and it's like, oh, let's have some makeup sex. If her head's not in the mood for makeup sex and my head's not, I don't want to have not fun sex.
Yeah.
Like, I remember telling her before we got together, yo, I'm tired of having meaningless sex. Like, it's not even bad sex. It's just like, I banged you, and are you putting your, are you, why are you still here? It's been 10 minutes.
Right.
I wanted to, you get to a point where some of us get to a point where you want it to mean something, and however it gets there. So like, saying all that to say, man, like, it's some creep stuff going on out here. And I think as men, we should talk about it more, because it's more common than we think, because we just think about our circles. And some of the behavior is acceptable, in circles. And you need to check dudes to be on that creep shit. And then for some of us who are just upstanding guys, like, we're not creeps, so we don't think about that creep shit.
Yeah.
If we talk to women who inform us about the creep shit, like, we'll never know.
Wouldn't know at all.
Anything else you want to tie onto this before we close this bad boy out?
We can put a curtain on it.
All right, man. It's fucking great. I'll see you in about less than 48 hours. Probably about 30 something hours. I don't feel like doing math.
About 40.
40, yeah.
Close to 40. Something like that.
Yeah. I'll hit up Boink. I got his address if you need it, just in case.
Yeah, if you could go ahead and send that to me now. Because then that way I can kind of figure out. Because if he's not able to get me, I'll ask him and see, like, are you busy at that time or whatever? And then if he is, either way, I can Uber. Like, that's not a big deal anyway. So that way we can get everything kind of our ducks in a row. Because it sounds like me and you, Josh is the only other person flying in. Everybody else is there. So I guess we'll figure out if they're busy, if they're working Friday, or how that's going to work for them on Friday.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm not doing what we did for the last bachelor party.
What's that?
Me and Boink did the grocery store run, and then you and Boink did the liquor store run.
Right.
Now I'm waiting on niggas.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Oh, yeah, because, you did that other party, too. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Now, these niggas going to pay.
Yeah, no. It's a group effort.
Exactly. All right, Parlay P, man. Good talking to you, dog. Enjoy.
As always, AC Lee.
Right.
Like I said, I'll catch you in 40 hours.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Yep.